pleasure to see so many of you here today, see so many new faces, and also friends of the Afghanistan and Central Asian Association. So I'm just going to give you a brief overview about the organizer of today's conference and who we are, for those of you who don't know much about the history and background of the charity. So the Afghanistan and Central Asian Association was founded 25 years ago after my family came to the UK as refugees from Afghanistan to escape the Taliban. It was a very difficult journey across Europe, and then eventually we arrived in the southeast of London, which is where this charity was founded. And the main aim is to help refugees with integrating into UK life and society. So that involves a number of different things, which is why we offer different services for the community, including English classes for adults to break down language barriers, Saturday school for children to help them with their school subjects, free legal advice on housing, immigration and family issues, women's empowerment, helping victims of domestic violence and running women's groups. Then we've got employment support, CV development, helping refugees with finding a job or with setting up a small business, because we've come across lots of people from a refugee background who've got different skills, different ideas. Some of them were running businesses back home in Afghanistan, but they don't know how to start a business from scratch in the UK, how to write a business plan, or even how to apply for a small loan, how to deal with all the legal paperwork, like signing the lease or finding a solicitor. So what we do is we offer one-to-one mentoring for those individuals who want to start their own businesses. And that's like part of the refugee entrepreneurship scheme. Then we've got mental health and counselling support. We also organise cultural events. So we held a 2-day summer festival at Gunnersbury Park in Ealing in June this year to mark Refugee Week. The first day was for the people of Afghanistan, and the second day was for Ukrainian refugees, and that was a real success, and we had over 5,000 people attending. And then there's also the sports activities that we run. So we've launched a girls football club funded by Comic Relief 3 years ago, a girls cricket club funded by Sport England, and other fitness programs for children and for the elderly. We've also started a digital education project for newly arrived girls from Afghanistan, which focuses on coding and on animation skills, so STEM education. And then conferences like the one we have here today. So that the aim behind that is policy and advocacy, and that's influencing government policy on Afghanistan. So we held a conference at the House of Lords. Last week on Monday, we had a conference in Brussels at the School of International Studies 6 weeks ago, and we have a conference here today. And so to engage policymakers, British politicians, think tanks, and other charities, so that we can come up with new policies for the UK government to implement. We became very busy after the fall of Afghanistan 2 years ago, when hundreds of people were contacting us every single day to get some advice from our staff about how to bring their families over. So it was a very busy time for the charity, and there were so many people queuing every day. And then we received lots of media coverage. So if you search the name of the charity on YouTube, you'll see hundreds of newspapers and media channels covering the post-crisis ACAA and the centre, where people are queuing from 6 a.m. in the morning, just so that they can evacuate some of their family members. We were liaising with the Ministry of Defence through their helplines, and then the media coverage as well. So I remember we were receiving calls every day from BBC, from ITV, from Channel 4, from Sky News, even from international newspapers like CNN, and they were contacting us to see if they could cover what was going on and to interview certain individuals whose families were still stuck in Afghanistan. And then we received lots of donations from the public. So we distributed a huge amount of donated goods and products from local residents in West London. And that was distributed across the whole of the UK to people living at the hotels. Because of the housing crisis, most of the asylum seekers are still being housed in temporary accommodation and in bridging hotels, although a small percentage of those people have been permanently rehoused. And then we opened our second office in Birmingham, which is which has been funded by Save the Children, who became one of our key partners after the fall of Afghanistan. And now we've opened our third branch office in Liverpool. So we don't just work in London, the operations of the charity are national. And I'm very pleased to say that we're now the largest Afghan-led charity in the UK by income and also by track record. And we've received numerous awards, like the Queen's Award for Voluntary Services. Dr. Nasimi is the first person from Afghanistan to receive the MBE this year. And we don't just support people from Afghanistan. We've got lots of beneficiaries from South America, from the Middle East, from Eastern Europe, from South America, and also from South Asia, who access our services. And we work closely with job centres, with GPs, and with local councils who refer people to us for help. 7 years ago, we moved from Lewisham to Hounslow. And the reason we expanded our work to West London is simply because the majority of our community live in West London. So in Hounslow, Hillingdon, Brent, Ealing, we've got over 150,000 people from Afghanistan. So it didn't really make sense for us to continue working from the southeast of London. And then we opened the first community centre for the people of Afghanistan in Feltham, and I'd like to invite everyone to please come and visit our centre and to see how we could potentially work together in partnership, in collaboration, to co-deliver programmes, maybe to apply for funding as a partnership application, but also to expand our work outside London in other parts of the UK. And then there's our work internationally, where we focus on humanitarian aid. So we opened 2 citizens advice centres in Kabul and Pulakhumri in the north, and they're modelled on the UK Citizens Advice Bureaus. And that was a huge success as well. For the first time, free legal advice was being provided to people on the ground on a range of different matters. And then we implemented a women's empowerment programme funded by the Canadian Embassy in Kabul. And then other programs around improving access to clean water, distributing oxygen machines during COVID to people back home. But for the last few years, we've had to stop formal operations in Afghanistan because of the return of the Taliban. So the new laws that have come into effect, the security challenges, but also because we haven't really been successful in terms of securing funds for our humanitarian work. So if there's anyone who works internationally on humanitarian aid delivery, then we're more than welcome to, you're more than welcome to work together with us, and hopefully we can do something inside Afghanistan as well. So yeah, I'm not going to take any more of your time. Thanks to the University of West London for hosting us here today, and hopefully we can hold more conferences at the Westmont Enterprise Hub. And yeah, thank you once again for attending, and I really hope that we can work together, in particular to support the women of Afghanistan, which is the key topic of today's conference, because there's lots and lots of women who face so many different challenges, and they are unable to integrate properly in the UK, and they face exclusion and isolation. And then you've got women inside Afghanistan who are being suppressed because of the Taliban, and their human rights and women rights are being violated. So hopefully we as the diaspora, as the second generation of people from a heritage from Afghanistan now living in the UK, we can come up with new policies and recommendations for the UK government as well, and we can offer a new solution, new policies for how we can make a difference to the lives of people back home. So thank you very much for your time, and I hope to see all of you again very soon.